Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about stressful games and mental health. Have you ever played one of those games where you want to throw your console pad across the room or smash your keyboard in on a PC because you played it for hours, you've got to the point you want, and suddenly it's killed you off and you've had to start again? In PC, they call it Iron Man mode, right? But many games back in the 80s were designed to be played that way. It's like playing Defender and Scramble back in the day. There was no save point. You just played until you died. Now, I loved them games, and them games were fun to play, and it didn't matter how far in because it was just a scrolling landscape and there was nothing more to it than that, right? But it was a case of getting a high score. So in that particular case, the design was you go as far as you can, killing as much as you can, and trying to beat your previous high score. That was the point of the game. But at some point, they turned around and they made the games about levels, getting past bosses and things like that. And when you got to the bosses and they killed you off, you had to start again because you had to go back to the last save point. And if the boss was incredibly difficult and you couldn't get past it, that's when gamepads started flying across the room and things started getting broken. And if you did that often enough, and games are addictive, and if you do it often enough, you end up leaving the game stressed out, angry, with basically a behaviour issue. You have a behaviour issue at that point. You can't control it. You start treating the others around you like shit because you're in a bad mood because you couldn't get past that level. That's a mental health issue we're developing right there. At my work, since I work at a major hospital, where I work, I deal with the results of people with behaviour issues. I see it in kids all the time, and even in certain adults. So it's not something you can dismiss. Put it that way. It's something it's here. It's real. It happens. Now, one of the things about these games is you play them because they're addictive over and over again. That stress over and over again. It's repeated stress. I mean, I think there's I think it's post stress disorder. It says this is the kind of thing that can make a result from these sort of things. You need to give your body a time to recover. It's okay doing these in moderation, but they do tend to hook you and make you keep coming back and back and back, so you don't get a break from it. I found after the 80s when I stopped playing that kind of game, I went more for simulations and city sims and games that excited me, games that tickled my intellect and made me want to try different ways. Like, for instance, if you look at Bethesda's games, they kind of like encourage you to explore different characters. Like if I was playing a necromancer, for example, I would only play a necromancer that summoned creatures. I might give him a dagger and that was it. He'd never carry a sword. He'd never carry a bow. Right? He wouldn't wear armor. And I'd play the game that way. And when I did what my friends would call a stealthy archer, it would be an archer. There wouldn't be a sword. It'd be an archer with stealth skills and maybe a knife. And that's how I'd play it. He'd go down the Thieves Guild assassin's route in order to get his skills up high enough. It says, and this is how I played it. So I get many thousands of hours out of a game, and I sit there and when I play the game, I'm thinking, I wouldn't mind playing a barbarian, heavy armor, big axe, two-handed, and then just stand on the dragon's head and smash its skull in. It says, and I go that route. Every single game I play in Bethesda's game is different because of that approach. Unfortunately, Fallout doesn't have that kind of those kind of choices. You basically got lasers and stuff, and that's it. Once you add guns, you lose these options. So yeah, so it's these sort of things keep you thinking, and it gets exciting to go back and try again. You don't get the stress of having to abandon one game to play the next because it's something you look forward to doing. City games are a way of just chilling, and if someone destroys your city like a Godzilla or a tsunami, it's an opportunity to rebuild it better than it was. So that's exciting. The difference between levels, that stress you out when you die and games that make you want to go back and do things voluntarily is huge. And it's a lot better for your psyche and a lot less stress. So if you do find yourself smashing keyboards in frustration when you're playing a game, stop playing that game. Play another type of game. Because I will promise you, too much exposure to stressful games like that will damage your mental health. And right now, I'm having to deal with stress at work, massive amounts of stress caused by understaffing. And it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It leads to the same problem. I'm having to find ways around it, and my head is just in a bad place because of it, and I know it. So I'm thinking not changing the game, but changing the job because of that same issue. Anyway, just remember, right, when you start throwing things across the room, you're playing the wrong game. See you in the next one.